episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Good morning, Broads family.
Good morning, Broads. Boing, 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 boing. I just always think about how terribly annoying that must be if you're waking up first thing in the morning
with a megaphone.
Like if you're turning our podcast on, you're like,
oh.
Just get out of bed, turn the alarm off, and are like, still your eyes are still got a little bit of the sleepies around them, and then you're like, you know what, I'm gonna turn on and just turn the podcast on.
Good morning.
What? The baby just starts bawling in the background.
Hello, Los Angeles.
So sorry about that. Maybe we'll start singing like lullabies too.
We could sing the song that our moms used to sing to us, remember?
Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Children of the Lord.
That's a good morning. Did your mom actually wake you up with that?
1,000%.
Yeah, my mom too.
Why did we have mothers who are such morning people?
Why are they? Because they love to see us in pain.
I think that might be what it is. Because I'm like, I wake up now when Ember wakes up. Like, I do not wake up before Ember, maybe 5 minutes before, but I like prep.
You try to save her every minute.
I save
of
everything.
it.
I'm like, I prep her lunch beforehand so that I don't have to wake up earlier and do all those things. I try to get everything ready at night.
Yeah, me too.
So like when she calls me in the morning, that's when I wake up. I'm not busting into her room being like, rise and shine. Like, no, thank you.
Maybe it's like some people work out before the kids wake up. I mean, I don't think my mom did.
Can't relate. Can't relate at all.
You think I get it? No.
I mean, I wish I had that in my being, but that will never be me.
No, maybe for a couple days.
Yeah.
Once a year.
I got maybe, when I have that in my body, I go on vacation and I don't have Ember. All of a sudden I'm up at 7 and I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do?
Good morning.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna hit the gym.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hop on a treadmill for a minute.
Yeah, you're a new person.
I'm a whole new person. I'm gonna go do a couple laps in the pool. In Mexico, my dad woke up and I was doing laps in the pool and he was like, I don't know who you are. And I'm like, me either.
It's Mexico, Jess.
Speaking about Mexico, Jess, Bachelor in Paradise, baby.
Oh yeah, let's go. I mean,
we gotta get into this because we are covering these 2 episodes. There was so much that happened.
I have bullet points for the first episode, so I can keep us really on track with that one.
Live for that.
Second episode, I was like, I'm not gonna be on Instagram like live talking about it because I can't focus. And yet I was still just sitting there. Like, I was very overwhelmed with the second episode.
I'll be real with you. Both episodes, there was so much happening that I felt like to truly get every moment and to realize like how much editing and cutting and all that was happening. I'm like, I'd have to rewatch this like 4 times.
Yeah, there were some. Yeah. I feel that. There was a scene in particular. Who was it? It was with a don't remember. Anyway, there's a couple times where I'm like, was that even how the conversation went down? The way they're talking about it now?
There was a moment that to me was so clearly edited and like chopped up in a bizarre way when Kenny is with Demi and they're standing like in the semicircle waiting for Lance. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, Kenny goes, well, I'm doing great. Demi and I are together. Mari and I, we ended up splitting up. And then Mari looks at him and is like, I don't appreciate you saying that. And then Lance walks in. I'm like, there's no way Lance wasn't there and didn't ask Kenny, hey, like, how's everything going in your guys' relationship?
Prompting that otherwise?
Literally, the way that it was edited is they're just all standing there, and out of nowhere, Kenny's just like, by the way, everybody, I don't know if you've noticed, but Demi and I are doing well.
Unless like, producers are prompting them, like, beforehand.
Maybe, but someone is prompting. It was so out of nowhere, and it's not like... And I don't
like he's announcing them as, like, this couple to the world.
Well, it's also, like, Kenny, too, is not, like, this guy who... I don't feel like Kenny's... Maybe we don't see this, but he doesn't seem like to me like the most chatty person on the sand.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like he's kind of quietly observes and just does this constantly. Like that's all he's doing is that facial expression constantly, and then letting the women come to him.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
kind of the vibe that I get more from him.
Let's get right into it.
Okay, okay, you know, because I'm like, I have some things to say about Thomas, but we'll get to Thomas when we talk about Thomas, because I listened to Thomas on Talking It Out with Mike and Brian. And I felt like it was a very insightful hour hearing from Thomas and getting to know him better.
What did you learn about him? Just tell me now.
Okay, I'll just say this. You know, I know we've talked from Katie's season where like we get red flags. We don't like the way that he handled certain things. But you and I, even in Katie's season, were like, he did not deserve the reaction that was given. Like, it just wasn't deserved. And since he came on BIP, it's like the same thing. He right away is dealing. But you and I still were like, there's reservations. I felt like in his conversation with Mike and Brian, he at first started the conversation kind of doing the typical Thomas thing where he's like kind of skirting over answers a little bit. And then Mike was like, you just need to say it how it is. Like we're asking a question, just say it.
Yeah.
And I felt like Thomas in the interview completely took accountability for things.
Yeah.
Fully acknowledged, I mean, what seemed to be a really deep understanding of who he is and where his struggles are. Like he talked about how his dad was a colonel in the military and he was like the oldest of four, and that's all he knew is his dad being gone all the time. And he's like, so my biggest thing was like, when I'd be with my family, I would just like figure it out. I would feel like I'd have to just step into it and take care of stuff so people didn't have to worry about it. And I didn't, you know, he wasn't diving into like why he was feeling a certain way and all those things. And Brian then goes, sounds to me like you were stepping up for your family. And then Thomas said, listen, I think what's important though is you have to step back before you step up. He said, I was never stepping back and observing. And he's like, I feel like I went into Katie's season the way that I am, which is just guns blazing. This is the opportunity I want to do. And I just step into it. He said, I did like Katie. He's like, but to be completely honest with you, I liked the idea of Katie more and I was ready to be in a relationship. It's been 4 years since my relationship. And he said, and I went in and I had a laser focus.
Super type A kind of person.
But he really was like, I see those where I have to work on in those parts of who I am.
Yeah.
And he was and then he found out about like his last relationship was 4 years ago. It was super serious. They were going to get married. They got pregnant. She ended up losing the child and that was super traumatic for them and ended their relationship. And he said, since then, I've just been doing my own thing. Like you just find out a lot about him. And he has like a huge passion for mentoring kids. Kids like Trey. Kids like Trey. Oh no. The youth. No, but like he comes from a family where like his grandfather went to as a black man went to Harvard and Yale. His grandfather, like he's like, I admire my family.
They're go-getters. He comes from a family of go-getters. So that's how he's going on the show. He's like, exactly. I'm going and getting.
And what he kept saying, which was like so powerful to me, is he was like, I want to, and he mentors a lot of people, and he's like, I want to be involved with people because he said, I feel like people hinge so proud. He's like, and they should be proud, but when people say I'm a self-made man, he's like, I'm proud to say I'm not, because my family was there and they worked so hard. He's like, and I don't feel like people, unless they want to, should have to be on their own doing it all by themselves. And I want to be there for people like my family was.
I want to be.
And you were
cool.
just like, I don't know. It was just a really great conversation. And I felt like you saw a really different side of Thomas. And I think he's, like you said, he's a go-getter. I think he's more of a serious person.
And you know, everyone makes mistakes. I haven't seen any irredeemable mistakes on the show by any. And honestly, the way he was handling confrontation and stuff was pretty mature.
I mean, at the end of the day, I felt like watching it. It was like Aaron was spiraling out of control, and Thomas was handling it.
All right.
Should we get in?
Yeah, because like I don't. Okay. Here's my bullet points for the episode.
Okay.
We basically got the Chris C and Chasen dates with their ladies. That's a thing we got to go over. The little Maurissa and Connor thing, post Riley date.
Yep.
The Kenny, Demi, Mari situation. A little bit of Joe and Serena. And then some Aaron and Trey bullshit with Tammy and Thomas. And then we also got a little bit of Karl situation that's entering into the second episode. I just can't.
I was wringing tears out for Karl. My heart hurt.
I know. I told you last week. I was like, I kind of feel bad for this guy.
My heart ached. It ached. I don't care what anybody says. My heart was aching.
He's just like, I so know this guy, like in school, and like he's this guy who's just trying so hard.
He tries so hard, and then when he confronted Chasen later, and it became like, she'll figure out who you are. I was like, no, don't go there. Just talk about what the situation at hand is. Don't pull this.
You know what he is? He's so ABC, always be Cam.
He's so always be Cam. So always be Cam.
Just like this earnestly insecure person who's just trying so hard and really wants to be liked, but just always shoves his fucking foot in his mouth. Like
he truly, I believe Karl is there for love.
Oh yes, he's like, my lady, let's go.
My princesses. Listen, I think that most of these people on the beach are there for, partially for love, partially for Instagram opportunities, respect. I would be there fully for Instagram opportunities. I think if anyone's there just to meet someone, it's Karl.
Yes.
Karl's like, I will find my queen.
Karl and Joe, to me, are the most earnest out of anyone in the bunch.
I know. I believe Joe, too.
And then in the second episode, we've got to talk about Tia coming on the beach. We've got to talk about Noah and Abigail. I always want to call her Melody for some reason. She looks like a melody, doesn't she?
She does.
Noah and Abigail.
A song in my heart.
Joe and Kendall and Serena, which we're just seeing the beginning of. What else from that episode?
By the way, I've never wanted an episode to continue more than last night's episode when Kendall walked in and said, "Hey, butthead," and I was on the floor sobbing, like having a full meltdown. And I was like, I need to know what is going to happen. And I also don't want to know because I know my heart is going to be shattered on the floor because I love all three of them.
I know.
They are all beautiful, wonderful people.
It's so shitty.
I don't feel like I recall a moment in Bachelor in Paradise. There probably is, and I'm just like fully blanking, but where I was so team all of them. Yeah. Where I'm like, this is an impossible situation to me because I love all of them so much. So brutal. Okay.
All right, let's start with the double tantra date, which, by the way, was the least awkward tantra date or whatever, intimacy coach date, whatever the fuck you want to call it ever.
I completely agree with you. I was like, this all felt very natural. Everyone seemed super comfortable.
Yeah.
And you'd think because ABC couldn't splurge and give them 2 separate day beds where they were literally practically touching each other, I was like, this is going to be so uncomfortable. I truly cannot. But I feel like because Chasen and Chris are connected mind, body, and soul themselves, that they were able
new bros
to harness the smoke bro energy.
What do you think about Chris? Like, what do you think? I don't personally, I'm not into him, but seems nice enough.
So, unpopular opinion. I know everyone was like, they love Chris. A lot of people that I love on the franchise are good friends with Chris. There were just some comments that were like thrown around to me.
Interesting.
Like, I don't know. Like when he was talking with Chasen later and he was like comparing Chasen's necklace to what Karl, he was like, yeah, like.
Oh, yeah. You made him look like a little bitch bracelet. You're like.
And I was like, dude, what is like, that's not nice.
What are we in junior high?
And just kind of that like going down and getting ours type vibe. It was just like, I don't know.
I wasn't super impressed by him. Like, I don't hate him, but I'm just like,
I don't
okay.
dislike him, like in the fact that I'm like, oh my God, Jessenia, run away.
Yeah.
But when I compare Ivan, I can't, to me.
I'm just confused by that. I mean, obviously Jessenia and him have hung out. We've seen that, like.
Yeah, it's like there's photos.
He kept saying obviously. I'm like, oh, so in production, in behind, like interviews, he's been talking about their whole background. That's why he's now saying obviously, and that's what they're showing.
Of course, and they're cutting out all the clips of him talking to producers about the fact that they knew each other. Yeah. And not only did they know each other, there was like many photos of them hanging out in groups of friends. So obviously, if they didn't hook up then, there was there were flirtations going on.
Oh my God, speaking of which, the Brendan and Piper shit upcoming too for next week's episode. I can't wait.
God.
It looks
explosive.
And honestly, I think I'm probably going to be team Natasha. By the way, your shit was wrong.
I don't know. I'm still holding on to it.
Natasha looked pissed.
I know. But I still continued to feel the way I felt about the whole Natasha being just like a good friend of them both and like, you know, trying to diffuse the situation. She
seemed like very like confused by his lack of reciprocation, which didn't seem fake to me.
I know.
And I don't see why she'd be expecting anything from him if she was.
Maybe there's the pressure of like, okay, like, you know, I don't know. I also... You know, I don't know if this is true, but I have to think about, and I have to think about this with Joe and Becca K and Natasha, that these are people who we can't forget. They work for The Bachelor. They have Bachelor podcasts. And by the way, broads, if you don't know, like their podcasts aren't Bachelor people talking about The Bachelor.
No, they're Bachelor affiliate.
Literal Bachelor affiliate podcasts.
Yeah.
So there's part of me that goes, okay, I have to remember that they are willing to probably work with production more so.
Yeah, I just couldn't see Natasha being like that good of an actor. Like it felt very like authentic where she was just like, what the fuck?
I know. The only thing though, then I was like, then when Natasha and Brendan finally had their massage moment and she got 2 pecks from him and that was like, she was like, oh, we're good to go. I'm like, that doesn't feel real to me though either. Like you want confirmation. You're having this like sensual massage moment and he just goes and pulls back. That's all. I don't know. The whole thing.
Yeah, although we've seen before on Paradise where people are just kind of taking whatever they can get from this person that they're trying to have a relationship with. Katie and Chris.
I just can't square the fact that Piper and Natasha know each other. They were hanging out when Piper and Brendan were dating.
Yeah.
It's all too convoluted to me to be that smooth. Especially the way that Natasha was then asking Brendan questions about Piper. Like she didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, I can't believe that Piper and Natasha are hanging out.
How do we know were they hanging out in a group though?
No, one-on-one. There's like photos of them getting their nails done together. And like, I'm a little bit like, if we're Bachelor Nation, if you and I are Bachelor Nation together, we're both single.
Yeah.
And we go grab dinner, we go do our nails together. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm confused about the whole thing because like I am agreeing with you, but then I'm also like, it doesn't seem like contrived.
I know.
I'm confused.
And it didn't this episode to me, the past 2 episodes, but I can't square away the fact that I just can't believe that they didn't talk about it. And then
I suppose this was back though in what, like January, February or something like that, or maybe even earlier
when they were dating.
Yeah, or like seen out together.
No, I believe it was literally right before Bachelor in Paradise aired. Like right beforehand.
Before it aired, or before it was. Filmed?
Before it was filmed.
It's weird.
The whole thing is strange to me.
Yeah, because it also doesn't make sense, like, if they were such good friends, and it does seem genuine, her, like, upset, but why would she be going after, like, her friend's dude who, like, that's what I'm saying.
Sense. It doesn't make sense to me. And also then her interaction, Natasha's interactions with Brendan being like, so what's this deal with this girl, Piper? And like acting like she doesn't, like,
It also just seems, but it seems like her fury is super real too. So I'm like, does Natasha just deserve an Emmy or?
I don't know.
What's happening?
The only other thing that I can think of is that truly Brendan and Piper were hanging out as under the pretense of more as friends and maybe hooked up once or twice, but were just hanging out.
Yeah.
And that was known amongst the group of people that like they're just chilling. And there wasn't like an actual dating thing going on. And then the media made it seem like they were like truly together and they weren't. And if that's the case, that's really the only other thing that I can imagine. But I have a feeling Piper's going to come down and be like, we were dating. Like, I'm feeling like that's going to be what happens.
Yeah, I mean, they started talking in June, apparently. So it's like, that was right.
That's what I'm saying. It was right. Like,
very weird.
I don't know.
All right. So, should we take a break?
Let's take a quick pause. There's just so much, Becca, there's so much going on. I do have to tell you, I'm really enjoying this season.
It's pretty good.
I feel like, was it last season? Last BIP season I wasn't a huge fan of. There was just so much.
Ugh, I didn't like it either.
No, it just was like upsetting and stressful, and there's some upsetting drama going on, but this drama also just seems it's way more chaotic. It's a very chaotic
It's also
season.
way more casual. We virtually have no serious relationships, let's be real, except for Joe and Serena.
I agree. When they kept having that sidebar conversation of him being like, I think we're the strongest couple on the beach. And she's like, maybe now. And I'm like, you've seemed that way to me since like the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Anywho, broads, we got to talk. I need to tell you, I love to go out on the town and be with friends when I can, but I'm not going to lie to you all. My home is my heaven. Maybe it's getting older, but I'm just becoming a homebody. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I love adding little touches of luxury hints of cozy to every single room. I would take a night curled up on the couch watching a movie with my family over a night out anytime these days. And even better if we are curled up under my favorite cashmere throw from our go-to home decor and furnishing brand, Jenny Kane.
Oh, man. Ugh. You know those houses you see on social media that you're just like lusting over because they're the perfect mix of lived in but also luxurious. That's not my house, but that is Jenny Kane. Every single piece looks like it could be in a home magazine, from the large items like their handcrafted furniture all the way down to their candles and house slippers. Oh my gosh, I've fallen head over heels in love with pretty much all of Jenny Kane's furniture pieces, but I have my eye in particular on an upholstered ivory bench. They have it all. And it's all beautiful.
I saw that bench and it is absolutely gorgeous. Like you said, everything from Jenny Kane is stunning, all made by artisans using time-tested techniques and the best, most premium materials like solid oak, sturdy leathers, and the softest wool and cashmere blends you've ever felt. I also like to keep a few Jenny Kane candles on hand because they smell amazing, all inspired by the sense of California nature, and they make the perfect like hostess birthday just because gifts the best.
Find your forever pieces at jennykane.com. Get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATTY at checkout. That's 15% off your first order. Pay attention to the spelling. JENNIKAYNE.com. Promo code CHATTY. Jenny Kane.
So broads, you may know that my daughter started school recently, as did a lot of kids. And as much as it's nice to have that little break in the day, I miss her so much when she's gone and spend some of each afternoon thinking about ways that we can spend time together when she gets home. I miss her. Lately, she is in a cooking phase, which has actually worked out great because we've been using HelloFresh a lot for our dinners. So having her join me in the kitchen is so easy and fun for both of us.
Here's how it works. Each week, HelloFresh offers 50 different menu and market items to choose from. And don't worry if you've got picky eaters or you yourself follow a specific diet. There are plenty of vegetarian and kid-friendly options to choose from. And that's honestly the hardest part sometimes, is just choosing between all the recipes. Then HelloFresh sends you a box of pre-portioned, partially prepared ingredients along with really easy to follow recipe cards, and that's all there is to it.
The last part is crucial when you have little helpers in the kitchen, because pre-portioned and partially prepared, like, ooh, that means I can let my daughter help without worrying about her accidentally dumping an entire bottle of pepper in the dish or getting a little too close to that peeler when I'm peeling veggies. It makes cooking together so much more stress-free and enjoyable, and we get to spend more time making memories and eating together, which is the best part anyways.
Go to HelloFresh.com/14chatty and use code 14chatty for up to 14 free meals, including free shipping. It's HelloFresh.com/14chatty, promo code 14chatty for up to 14 free meals, including free shipping. Okay, so their double date though.
First of all, I am shocked with the Chasen Deandra connection.
But then of course we got no explanation when it ended.
Their connection?
When she didn't give him a rose and he got sent home.
Oh, I feel like when she was talking to some people and in her interviews, she was saying, she's like, listen, like, she was basically saying, like, I can see through when all of a sudden someone gives me a piece of jewelry.
Oh, yeah.
And then someone else just decides to try to just one up someone.
It just sounded like she was on the fence because she was like, I just don't know if he's being genuine or if he's just trying to get a rose or whatever. But then we didn't see any conversation between them. And then she just dropped him like a sack of potatoes.
I was living for it.
She gave that rose to Ivan.
Thank goodness. I mean, Deandra might be one of my favorite people. I really like her too. Love her. I like the way that she handled the whole situation too with Chasen and Karl. She was so gracious to both.
Yes, she really was.
And acknowledged Karl and then acknowledged Chasen, even though, you know, the things that they gave her, I'd be like, do you know me at all?
I'm also like, I feel like a producer literally just handed Chasen that necklace, like probably took it off of herself.
Oh, there's no way.
And threw it at him.
She definitely took it off of herself.
You know, it's like, okay, give her this.
There was like a camera woman and one of the producers is like, give me that. And they're like, but it means so much to me. And they're just like, give it to me.
We'll get it back. We'll give it back to you.
We need more important business with it. Come. It's like, it was a gift from my husband. Take it off now. You want your job? You want to keep working on the show?
Hey, that's a nice bracelet. Give that to Karl right now.
Do
it now.
Now, Karl claims, and I believe this, that he purchased it. He's like, I got the receipt. I purchased it back at home. I'm like, did you get it from Brighton?
It's a Pandora bracelet.
Yeah, it looked like Brighton at first to me. Do you remember Brighton?
No.
It was all very silvery and very momish. Blessings. But no, their Deandra and Chasen's connection was surprising to me, but I also think probably a lot of it too is it's like she was with Karl and there probably wasn't that much of a connection. Yeah. And Chasen is super hot.
And it seemed like they were having good chemistry together. Yeah. I guess that's why I was a little surprised. Like Deandra's going to sacrifice, I guess, her potential for a rose next week for Ivan. She really sacrificed herself. I mean, Lord knows some cutie's probably going to come down the steps for Ivan and Deandra's going to be high and dry.
Probably. And that is, you know, I didn't think about that risk at all. But also, I'll tell you this much. If the men have the roses next week and I'm Deandra, I trust my friendship with Ivan that he would give me a rose over fucking Chasen.
Yeah.
You know, the second Chasen,
that's true.
I do not trust that man as far as I can throw him. It's just like women.
Yes,
like that's the vibe,
Smoke
right?
Smoke shows everywhere.
Bra.
Which we might as well, since we're talking about all that, is there anything else to cover between like, I agree with you and I have a segue from this that I want to make, but I love the way she did handle the stuff with Karl. Like she was really, like you said, gracious, sweet.
So gracious. I love the fact that when Chasen was literally hovering a foot away from poor Karl, like, dude, go away. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was so embarrassing. I was so uncomfortable. And Karl, it's just like, it reminded me, watching it was a full elementary school situation.
Yes.
It's like Karl's kind of the awkward guy who's like declaring his love or asking like the girl out into the junior high dance. And Chasen's like the jock who's like, are you done yet, nerd? Yeah. Like that's the vibe.
I got a better gift.
Yeah, he's just standing over, just like, you done? You done? Yeah. And Karl's like, stop. It was so sad.
Poor Karl. And Karl, when he went home in the car too, and he was just like, you know, he just wants it so bad.
He wants it so bad. But when Chasen was hovering, and then as soon as Chasen ended up grabbing Deandra from Karl, I loved that right away. Deandra was like playing with the bracelet and I was like, that was so nice of him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I loved that there was that acknowledgement in front of Chasen.
Yeah.
Even if she did have more chemistry with Chasen.
Yeah.
It was just like, please acknowledge what Karl was doing. Yeah.
Which, my segue from that, actually, is I want to talk about the Maurissa and Connor situation. Because,
Let's talk about it.
Okay. Not that she didn't, first of all, she did not owe Connor at all to like tell him about the boom boom room. No. I definitely felt for Connor when they're like, oh, do you know that they went to the boom boom room? And Connor's just like, what? He was just like,
he's like, but I'm wearing this. Everyone was shading him for that outfit. And I have to be real with you. If I would see that fit on someone who was super cool, I'd be like, love it. It's just Connor in it, in my opinion. Sorry, Connor, but it just doesn't fit to me.
I hated everything about it, but he was really trying. You could see the pain in his eyes when Wells was clowning on him for it. He was just like,
I know. It was like Wells was literally like a stand-up comedian, and he was just roasting.
And Connor's just like laughing with tears in his eyes.
And Connor's like, I really liked this look.
Yeah.
I really thought I was doing something.
I wasn't trying to be ironic with this.
I know.
Now.
I didn't hate it.
So, though, when I think Connor didn't know that yet when he had the conversation with Maurissa being like, what are you doing tonight? Correct?
It didn't seem that way.
I don't think so. I think when he got told that was after that scene.
It seemed that way, at least from editing.
Yeah. But he's like, you know, what are you doing tonight? Whatever. And I have to say, I was maybe a little bit of a stretch to say this, but I felt like it really showed her lack of emotional maturity, like being upfront with him.
I was disappointed that she didn't immediately, like you said, she doesn't owe him jack shit.
No.
But it's just more like, you know, they had been talking and they communicated before she went out on the date. And I think that it would have been kind to be like, hey, I really appreciate it. I have to let you know I am.
Well, she was acting like he was some dude at the bar bugging her.
Yeah.
And it's like they've had, it's not like it was anything
out.
serious. They've had a little thing before. So I do think you sort of owe it to someone to be just straight up. You don't have to tell them about your connection with the other person. Be like, hey, just so you know, I don't think there's anything happening between us anymore.
Just so you know, you pale in comparison to Riley. So you're going to have to go.
You'll never be him.
You will never be Riley.
But, you know, just it said she was doing this whole like,
yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Stepping away from him, just being like, we'll see, which I felt like was a little just like disrespectful to him. Like, I felt like it would be respectful to just be straight up.
While you're saying this, I'm now all of a sudden remembering like a clip of Maurissa being like, I really want Connor to know how I feel. I want him to tell me how he feels. And I'm on the beach. And, you know, so there was enough of a connection that she wanted that.
Right.
You know, granted, do I have the empathy because Connor does give off the energy of a guy who maybe doesn't take a hint very well. So you start to get like a little like antsy, like, okay, bye, sounds okay, we'll see, bye. So I get that, but I think considering, you know, how much they had
a history.
Yeah, how much they had communicated at that point, I feel like it would have been kind to Connor to like give him a little bit more.
Because then he was just kind of like confused and just sort of like, okay, which I think if they had never talked before, it would be like, okay, get the hint, guy. But since they have like a little bit of background on the beach, I'm sort of like, I get why he's kind of like confused and thrown off.
Sure.
Like, what do you mean? Like, we'll see. Like, are you still into me at all?
As far as like when Maurissa did leave with Riley, they had like the day of or the evening before had been like making out and stuff.
Right.
And there wasn't any sort of ending to their connection that was talked about.
Right. And it's not like he saw their date play out and saw that they had a connection. All he knows is
that's true. All he knows is
in front of him.
She's been gone for a while.
So I was just kind of like,
you're right.
Girl.
You're right.
That's not like, to me, I was like, that's not great. It's not not nice, but
oh no. Sorry, bros. I just had a little bit of an explosion, a water bottle explosion, and just making sure that an electrical fire didn't start on the wires.
Oh my. Okay.
There's just full flames behind us, and we're like, so can you believe that Chris took Jessenia that way and our King Ivan?
There's just smoking coming from the mics. Oh man.
Literal smoke shows.
Smoke shows. This is the smoke show. Yeah, anyway, that was all about Maurissa and Connor and that. Should we talk about the Mari Demi Kenny situation from the episode?
I would absolutely love to. The only thing that I did want to touch on real quick before, just because I was thinking about like sorry, I'm backtracking now, thinking about like the Chasen Chris date situation. Since we don't really see much of them in the second episode at all, just wanted to say in response to how Maurissa wasn't super direct with Connor, in the complete opposite direction, I think in a really like, I don't know, in a very direct way, Jessenia let Ivan know right out the gate what was going on.
Yes, you're right. Didn't she come right back? Like she got right back?
It seems like that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it seems like that. And Ivan was in this zone where he was like, I'm going to go tell Jessenia that I want to move forward with her and how I feel. And literally they sat down, and before he could even open up and put his heart out on the table and then feel maybe embarrassed when she shut it down, she was just like, this is how I feel. I have more of a spark with Chris, and I'm going to pursue that. And it's painful, and my heart broke watching Sweet Ivan, but she told him immediately. I don't know, I just appreciated that it was very direct and honest right away. And then Ivan's able to be like, okay, I know how you feel and I can move forward. And he handled it so well. I mean, Ivan, every episode to me, it's just like, how can Ivan get better? I don't know.
I do hope that there's someone that comes on the beach next week for him.
Oh, I love him so much.
Okay, now
unless they make him the next Bachelor, B.
Maybe that's the Bachelor edit Wells was talking about.
Maybe.
He could bring the nations together, as Mike Fleiss was teasing and tweeting.
And thank you.
He would make a good Bachelor.
He'd be a fantastic Bachelor.
We would at least get that shot of him on the boat that we were talking about last week.
Oh, the dreamy boat, Ivan.
Now,
okay, yes.
As far as direct conversations go, speaking of which, okay, I gotta say, I was a little perplexed and confused by the outcome of Mari and Kenny's conversation. You know, I was just confused that, I don't know. I was confused that everyone was like, oh yeah, like Mari did want to have her cake and eat it too. I was a little, maybe I just didn't see that the same way. I felt like Mari was sort of like, I don't want to be super committed, but I want to see what connections we have with other people, but I'm still into you, which I personally feel like is a very normal Paradise thing.
Yes. I don't know. When I was listening to their conversation, what I gathered when she pulled him aside.
Yeah.
I understand the timing of everything then from Kenny's perspective, where it's like, oh, you have the rose now. And these two new guys walk in, and all of a sudden, she said, even in their conversation, she said, you know, you and I have talked about only being with each other. And so they had previously had that conversation.
Okay, that clarifies things then.
And so then her saying like, I'm still like 100% here, but I also want to be able to go on dates. Now,
yeah, okay. I then that's different if they've had a prior conversation about being sort of exclusive.
Now, the way it hit me was, and I could be so off on this one, but I think number one, this is an example of when you do over communicate, because over communication can happen. Guess what? In my opinion, you have that thought in your head where you're like, I'm fully here for somebody, but I also like don't want to maybe cut off an option if someone walks in.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if that person does walk in, then process that and have that conversation. Because if you are truly still 100% there with that person, you don't need to share that with that person. Because it's not happening yet.
Sure.
So that's my first thought. My second thought is, it didn't strike me so much as Mari wanting to have her cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And again, could be so wrong on this, but it struck me a little more as a potential way of maybe putting up a little bit of a wall in her nervousness, watching couples kind of crumble all of a sudden. And maybe she likes Kenny and is trying to protect herself. So I know for myself, a habit that I used to have that was bad in mine and Evan's relationship was that I'd kind of try to do these like power moves where I'd be like, well, maybe when we'd be starting to kind of seriously talk again, it'd be like, well, maybe I'd be interested in wanting to get to know other people. And I didn't want to get to know other people. But I felt like if I said that and put that out to him, he then was like, oh, I better make sure that I hold on tight to her because do you understand what I'm saying? I felt like that might be what Mari was doing more than anything. Maybe. Because when you see it, her reaction could be someone who then realizes like, oh shit, I liked him more than I thought. Or it could be like, I just don't like the fact that he's jumped to someone else too quickly. Right. But in the second episode, we see her in ITMs being like, yeah, it hurt to see Kenny go out on a date with Tia. Yeah. And I'm a little bit like, I think she really likes him. Yeah. And I think she might have been trying to protect herself.
Maybe. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, I feel like it's either that or that she, is just seeing new eye candies, kind of like, oh, let's see what happens, see if I have like a great, because we don't have a amazing connection. Maybe I can have an amazing connection with someone. We just have a good connection. Either way, like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it either as like wanting to have her cake and eat it too. And then I was kind of like, okay, because then to me, it seemed more of like an ego thing with Kenny, where then he was just like kind of pissed that she...
Yeah, he was hurt.
Yeah. And then, but where I sort of always go like, okay, is where like, oh, I really cared about you, but like now fuck you, bye. That's where I'm kind of like, okay, but how are you that into her if you're just like, okay, peace. Now I'm like, I don't know.
Well, I feel like with the Kenny thing, and at least it seemed this way clearly to me when he then was like down to get to know Tia, was that when Demi first pulled him aside, he wasn't even looking at her and he looked like he wanted to not be in the situation with her. And then I feel like the ego hurt came in. It was like, I'm getting attention paid to me from this other woman. I'm bruised.
Rejected.
And
I feel rejected.
And so I'm taking this attention from somebody else. Then cut to them at the bonfire and Riley saying, who here would you want to sleep with? And he goes, Mari. I'm like, yeah, he likes Mari. And then Demi walks down and is just like, happy birthday, Mr. President. Just like, oh God. And then I feel like when Mari pulled pulled Kenny aside, then the way that she was kind of like, you're confused, then he was a little bit like, wait, no, hold on a second. Yeah. You and I had talked previously about how we were just seeing each other. Right. And then you said you are down to see other people. And then she's like, but that was just with a date. But he's like, but wouldn't you say if you liked the person on that date, you'd kiss them? She's like, well, yeah, but yeah. I feel like in the Mari Kenny situation, honestly, I feel for both of them.
Yeah, I do too.
I feel for both of them because I do feel like they genuinely like each other. I think there was over communication that happened. He was hurt. He then I think made too quick of a knee-jerk hurt reaction, and then she made a hurt reaction by throwing the cake in the fire. And my
God, yeah, that was
and
ridiculous.
It just is like, I don't feel like. And then also when she had the conversation with Kenny later, after she threw the cake in the fire, I felt like what Kenny was saying, it was like, yeah, I get what he's saying back to her because that is what she said. And maybe that's not what she felt, but that was what was communicated. But then I get being hurt if I'm Mari by being like, you're going to go fucking make out with someone then right away and then go to the boom 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 right away. Yeah. I felt for everybody in the situation.
Well, and then also, what I didn't like, what did throw me off is she was sort of like had her arm around Mari's shoulder kind of thing, giving her advice.
1,000%.
And I was kind of like, yeah, like you don't owe anyone, but that was kind of like, that was kind of shitty. Yeah. Like, not that you had to, but if you're being like buddy giving someone advice, why wouldn't you at least be like, hey, since you guys have done like, I think I'm gonna pursue things. I don't know.
It was also the way in which like she's sitting having these conversations with her, and then in the ITMs, Demi's like, I'm gonna go get your man now, and it's like, okay, like that's not cool. Like,
nice.
You're having this heart to heart. I get why Mari was pissed. I'd be like, excuse me, I just like opened up to you, and I felt like you gave me some good advice.
Right.
Which like I felt like they were having a really good conversation about it.
So too. Like
So
I
this
would
is
be
good.
like, dude, you're fake as fuck. Like, which then that was crazy to me. Where at the beginning or the end of the first episode or the beginning of second, whatever. This is all just one episode. Let's just call it a 4-hour episode.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? How then Demi's going off on Tammy being like she's like snaking and evil and deceptive, and I was just kind of like, dude, girl, you gotta take a seat.
There's a whole lot of moments where Demi needs to start to be really reflective about herself.
And like, who was she calling like hypocrite? Oh my God. Then she's going off, talking shit on Mari, being like, that's the way the beach works, honey. Like, what? And I'm like,
Brendan, cut to Kenny with Tia. Like, it's just like, hey, you're upset.
Yeah.
She's also upset.
Honor your feelings.
Honor your feelings.
And then in turn, like.
And then don't then in the conversation with Mari, when Mari pulled Demi, Mari was obviously upset, but she also pulled her over and she's like, hey, like what's going on?
Yeah.
She wasn't like, excuse me, fucking bitch. She just pulled her aside and she was upset.
Right.
But then Demi is just like, dude, bro, suck my ass. And you're just like, okay, you know what? Like, I think you need to understand that like what you did, sure, is going to potentially cause someone a flurry of upset emotions. And what you can do is acknowledge and say, hey, you know what? I totally get why you're upset. Kenny is hot. But as far as our conversation went, and I still wouldn't say this, I'd be apologetic. But from Demi's perspective, being like, Kenny's hot. And when you said he was free game, and I'm sorry, I get why you're upset. And if you're going to be upset at me, you're going to be upset at me. And that would be a Demi, like, blow it off move, which I still don't think is right, but that's a move.
Yeah.
Versus, like, her, like, yelling at her to fucking suck her ass.
Or clit, or whatever the fuck she said.
You know
what she reminds me of is I haven't watched any remotely recent seasons, but she sort of reminds me of Bethany from Real Housewives of New York City, and the way Bethany always used to like give people shit, and then the minute anyone came for her would be like, oh,
completely full meltdown, sobbing, just like, why are you attacking me? And it's just like, I mean. You really throw it around a lot. I thought you'd be able to handle it.
Yeah.
But it's in the same, but in that same note, Demi's the same way where she's a lot of talk. And then all of a sudden when Kenny is getting pulled.
Yeah. Or
Kenny sits down with Demi and she's just like, no, I'm with you. I don't want you to be with anybody else. And I'm like, whoa. Holy smokes. What's going on? This is a very different energy from the person who was laying with Kenny on the daybed.
Now I'm really seeing the Bethany parallel. So I'm like, yeah, which I guess we might as well, this might be the most effective way to go through things, is we might as well also talk about like Tia arriving and the Kenny thing.
Let's weave this narrative.
But what I just have to say is it's a little painful to watch because at this point, I'm just like, oh my God, dude, like you're suffering with so much like deep insecurity right now. And we're like seeing it just bleed out on the screen. And it's actually like, I was kind of having fun with it the first couple episodes because I was like, like, oh my God, bitch, get your shit together. And now I'm kind of like,
I know.
Oh, this is like painful.
It's hard. You know what? It's one of those things where I know a lot of what the behavior that has been displayed on our screen this season has been not cool. And I'm like, make it stop. But in those moments, and I want to like literally like wrap her in a hug and be like, it's okay to be you. And it seems like you maybe isn't somebody who wants to party and be like, I'm fine with just hooking up with this guy and then him going with somebody else. Like, it seems like who you are is someone who has these insecurities, who wants to experience love, and who maybe protects herself. Now, here's my thing. It's like very sex positive over here, right? I'm like, you do exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
When you listen, the Maurissa got so slut shamed. I was raging on the internet, Becca, that Maurissa was receiving any kickback, and Riley even went to his IG to defend her and was like, stop it. Oh, so we're gonna cheer on Hannah Brown fucking 5 times in the windmill, and then we're gonna shame Maurissa after she has a very clear connection with this guy. And even if she didn't, she wants to go fucking have sex.
What I loved
It's
about
like, dude,
the Maurissa thing too is that, I'll say this, like Maurissa was very like turned on by Riley, like you said,
Yes.
regardless of the connection.
Yes.
And to me, that was like such a like pure, genuine moment of like sexual attraction to this person, and like really just, I don't know, in that moment, like really, I don't know, she was like had a desire, and that to me was really sex positive.
Yes. Yes.
I have to say it left a sad taste in my mouth to see like Demi struggling with insecurity, and then like literally being to Kenny like, you want to go to the boom boom room like right now?
Yes,
and I'm like,
that's what I was gonna bring up.
Like,
yeah.
that to me that to me is not a super sex positive moment, because in that moment I feel like that's not about honoring desire in your body. It's about like overcompensating for a feeling of emotional insecurity,
Yes,
and
yes.
trying to like cling on to someone, using your body as a tool to feel closer.
You are saying exactly what I was attempting to say.
And
1000%.
That is like that to me is like a bummer. And
No, it just makes it makes me, it made me pause in the situation, whereas in like when I was watching the second episode, I was just like, man, I just feel like, and it is so something that fucking unfortunately that women have had to, or that a lot of women have to struggle through because of the narrative that this culture has created, that that's why someone wants you. And it doesn't matter like how you
that's
feel.
why you're worthy.
That's why you're worthy. And it doesn't matter how you feel. And it's like, if Demi wants to go have sex with someone and she wants to experience that pleasure, that's amazing. But when there are those moments that it seems like almost two contradictory people, her then like grieving while Kenny's gone and feeling so much insecurity, and then like you said right away kind of pulling aside and being like, let's go to the boom 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 right now. It just, it made me like, I don't know, I want to be like I want you to feel safe experiencing and being who you truly are.
What's also interesting is that in her connection with like Christian, I don't know if you remember, but she was like very uncomfortable being physically forward because of, like scared of how people are going to perceive her with biphobia, but then also just like being uncomfortable because, there's still so much stigma in the world around being gay.
Yeah.
But because of that, at the same time, she was forced to cultivate her relationship, at least what we saw in Paradise with Christian. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting to see the contrast and see that she developed such an intense emotional connection from what we saw with Christian. And I don't know. It just made me, I don't want to be like, oh, it made me sad for her because she was like being, that's not what I mean at all. Like, it's exactly what you were saying.
No.
It's just like, I wish that she could see, like we've been saying, that she's like worthy without having to do that. And like,
Yes. It just like, like when you see the contradictory things, like one evening there's this Demi, and then the next morning there's a very vulnerable, I don't want you to go on the date with her. I want to be just with you, Demi.
Yeah.
And those two people can coexist. Don't get me wrong. But it's then everything else.
In order to be liked, she's been misrepresenting what she wants to Kenny. And even Brendan too, where it was like, let's just have fun. We can have fun every day. Everything in our relationship can just be fun, you know, as a way to sort of like try to get someone to stick around, and then being like, no, but I want an actual emotional connection and relationship with you.
Yes.
It's like, you don't have to play that out.
I was so fucking irritated at Kenny though too, when he like pulled Demi aside and was like doing the typical like, do you want me to go on this? And I'm like, dude, you know you want to go, so stop asking her. She says, I don't want you to go. I want to be, you know, one-on-one, and then keep pushing like, but what do you really want? It's like, it's very clear that she doesn't want you to go. So you either fully acknowledge and go, you know what? I think I want to go on this, and I'm super sorry if it hurts you, but I feel like at this point I'm still looking for other connections. Or if you're genuinely asking, do you want me to go on or not? When the person goes, I mean, I wouldn't be happy. If you really mean that, you go, all right, I'm not going.
Sure.
But he didn't really mean it. No. He was just testing. And I'm like, dude, just either say, hey, I'm going to go on this. And then you deal with, and then he ends up even saying, then Tia goes, do you want to go on the date with me? And he's like, yep. And you're like, dude, I mean, and now she's feeling like, okay, we had this conversation. I let him know that like, I don't want him to do it. He gave me a kind of wishy-washy vibe back. And now he's just going to go on it.
Yeah.
Like,
which let's get to the Tia and Kenny portion in a second, but that was the other thing where it was like, then when they're on the date, you know, Demi's back being like, well, there's no one like Demi, there's no one like me. I took him to the boom boom room, you know, and I'm like, okay, what you're saying is one thing, and what I'm hearing is, am I good enough? Am I lovable? You know, and I'm like, and enough with the forced bravado.
And there was just the constant, I'm nothing like Tia. I'm nothing like Tia. And I'm like, I don't know. You guys don't really even know each other. I get if that was being said.
I was
if you
thinking
guys,
the same thing,
if it was
dude.
like a Thomas and Aaron situation, it's like, this is my worst enemy. I'm nothing like Thomas. You know, like if that was the vibe. But she doesn't really know her. And there was this feeling of, because Demi, at least it seems, wants to be validated in just being who Demi is and be acknowledged and cared for and loved for who Demi is, which she deserves to be, as every person deserves to be loved for who they are, who they genuinely are. Yeah. But it seemed that way to me, where she just kept going, I'm nothing like Tia. I'm nothing like Tia. And I was like, but what do you then think Tia is? Because you're not really saying anything. I don't know exactly what's going on.
No, and then also we're seeing, I just was curious and went to her Twitter right now, and she's like, I would have shown that beach my labia. Love that I was on their mind during their date and stuff like that. And I'm like,
yeah.
You really are not.
It was probably hard for her to watch. It was probably hard for her to watch the date with Tia and Kenny. And so that's the tweets that are the response, because she's protecting herself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, Kenny and Tia though.
Okay, before we hop into Kenny and Tia, you want to take a quick little pause. Broads. My bedroom was in desperate need of a refresh, which became very apparent after I spent so many hours of my life in there the past year. You guys already know we love Article for pretty much everything home related. It was then obviously my first stop when I decided to do a little bedroom makeover for myself, which has been done for a while now. And let me just say, I am very impressed with myself, but it's because of the help of Article. They just make it so easy to put together a good room.
They really do, don't they?
So easy.
I know firsthand, shopping for furniture can be a really overwhelming process. There's too many options nowadays. And like, I'm sorry, after a while, all the white slipcover couches look the exact same to me. Mm-hmm. They just have different price tags.
Correct.
But that's one of the reasons I like Article so much, because their team of designers works on just a few select aesthetics like mid-century, Scandinavian, industrial, bohemian, all very timeless. So you can easily find the style that works best in your home, and you can shop within those designs.
And the quality is so good too, which again can be a bit of a crapshoot when buying furniture online from some shop. You just never know. every piece in my house from Article has exceeded my expectations and stood up to all the daily wear and tear of 2 dogs and a busy family. Okay.
Wow.
My little one is quite a tornado. Article, it stands wonderfully. It stands firm. And because Article sells directly to you, you can expect to save up to 30% over traditional retail prices.
Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Just go to article.com/chatty and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/chatty. You're going to get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
Okay, broads, I'm excited to talk about this. All right. When I got my own place and had a family of my own, I realized how much freaking work and attention goes into running a household. Like, it's just the smallest things that you don't really think about until you need them. And then it's like the bubble bursts and you can't believe how long you've lived without said thing. For me, for the longest time, this was matching silverware and dishware. When I lived on my own, it was just so easy to rotate like the same 3 bowls for all meals. I wish that I had had Fable Home back then. If you can relate, you have to check them out. I love their stuff.
Dude, so we've had like the same IKEA dishes for forever and we've been talking about swapping them out for a really long time. And then I got this gigantic package in the mail from Fable and I didn't know that we were doing an ad for them on the podcast. And I was like, what is this? Opened it up and I was like, the gods have answered.
Shook to my core when I opened stunning.
Oh man. I mean, they just have timeless tabletop pieces. They're all designed to pair perfectly together. They've even created these awesome bundles. They make it easy to get everything you need with just one click, whether it's a complete flatware set, an essential serving set, or an entire dinnerware set, which is what I got. Hallelujah. Just what we needed. Fable Home has options and all their products are created ethically and sustainably, and their dinnerware is crafted and hand finished in Portugal, and it's made with recycled clay in a zero waste facility. So I'm just in love.
Oh,
and they're gorgeous.
They're so stunning. My mom actually came over to my house the other day and opened the cabinet, and she was finally proud.
She was like, wow.
No, she was finally proud of
now.
me for the first time in my adult life. She was like, oh my God, look at these sets. They look incredible. You look like an adult. And I'm like, thank you so much. I'm obsessed with my Fable Home dishes that I have recently upgraded to, and having a complete matching set it just makes you feel amazing. You feel just like an adult, even if I mainly use them to eat leftovers or delivery pizza on, let's be honest.
Head over to fablehome.co and use code CHATTY to take 10% off your first purchase. That's fable.co and use code CHATTY to take 10% off your first purchase today. fable.co, code CHATTY. Do it.
Okay.
Kenny and Tina?
Kenny and Tia.
I think I just almost called her Tina.
Kenny and Tina. Okay, so Tia is on the beach now, also with Becca. So we have 2, Becca K and Tia. They are gracing the beaches. Some past Bachelorette and past contestant from our dear Becca season.
Yes. Unprecedented appearance of a Bachelorette, as Karl so dutifully notes.
Oh, of course he notes.
But yeah, so
Tia and Kenny
go on the date.
I will tell you, I was very surprised that Kenny was who she beelined for. I just wasn't expecting that. I was
also confused of Joe being like, that is so Tia's type.
I know. I'm like,
wait,
really? I'm like, I mean, I don't know Tia at all, so I couldn't tell you who Tia's type is, but I didn't know that nautical stars were...
I've never seen in her dating history like a guy like that, so I don't really know what Joe's talking about, but okay.
No idea. Also kind of living for like the bromance that Joe and Kenny have going on, their little like moments together. Yeah. But Tia is... It was like, as soon as I saw Tia, I'm like, I feel like I'm re-watching your season again because Tia is just so Tia. Like, Tia is Tia.
She is.
And she came down and beeline for Kenny. They go on a date that
I felt,
is so strange to me.
I felt kind of bad for her. I was just like, I felt like she like wasn't really into it, but wanted to be a good sport and like.
Yeah, me too. I was like, okay, like she didn't want to be like I'm not going to do it.
Right. So she's like, I guess I'll take my top off even though I don't really want to.
I do have to acknowledge Kenny in this. I felt like he handled it really well. He like right away was like, I'm going to do whatever you want to do. Like, you let me know what you're comfortable with. So it's like, if she would have been like, I'm staying fully clothed, he would have been like, I'm also fully clothed. And so then she was like, I'm comfortable if you get fully nude if I take my top off. And then he was down. Like, I appreciated that as much as we know Kenny's coming down, which was fake nude, this was real.
Yeah.
Everyone was nude on this beach. Like, this was real nudity.
Yes.
I felt like he handled it well.
No fake nudity.
No fake nudity on this episode. Those black boxes were truly covering up the real bits.
Yeah, I just sort of felt bad on a producer level, just being like, guys, she's like, she's like reading her Bible, trying to go to her church groups, and I don't think she really wants to do this regardless.
She keeps talking about her Bible study. You know that she's in her head about this now. It's like that's one of those moments that, like, after you're done filming, you're thinking about, like, oh God, I have to talk down to my friends about this because it's not something that I'm personally comfortable with, and But it also too it was like they hit the ball around poorly a few times and then it wrapped, and it was like, what is the point of this? I don't understand.
No, it was just
strange.
And then they didn't really seem to have much chemistry chatting with each other.
No, I mean, they were like making out. It just didn't feel, I don't know, it just felt uncomfortable to me. And then when she was having the discussion with him about Demi, and like was asking him, like, did you have sex in the boom boom room? I was a little bit like, this just feels all too, I mean, I understand that it's a reality TV show, but this just feels too quick to be like
having these
digging about like Demi and his personal like sexual interaction.
Right. Which, granted, I think someone's trying to get, they're like, yeah, you are telling me it's all cool, but like, what am I working with here?
I understood what she was doing, but it was also a little bit like, okay, it just was uncomfortable. Kenny didn't answer.
It wasn't organic either.
No, I don't foresee that they're going to be, because the guys have the rose this weekend.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if he gave Tia his rose. I don't feel like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think his rose goes back to Mari. Because we saw that little clip where it's like, oh, Mari's like, she made some comment, right, in the clip where she's like, I'm still interested, or I still have feelings. Oh, that's what it was. Know. In the clip, she was like, I still have feelings for you. And he was like, I did not see that coming. And then Demi was like, should we go to the boom boom room together? Da da da. I think he gives his rose back to Mari.
Oh shit, that's gonna be juicy if that shit happens.
Crazy.
Oh my god.
Crazy.
God damn it, I'm spilling everything everywhere today. Oh fuck. Okay. And okay. All right. So that was that. I think Tia's probably gonna be going home soon.
Yeah, unless all of a sudden she has a connection with someone. I know that Ivan was like, oh, she's cute. So I can see that maybe talking. But she's like, I don't know. I don't see it actually like happening, but also there's a few single guys, and the guys do have the roses this week.
Yeah.
So she is new, so I could see someone like connecting with her.
Let's touch on Becca real quick.
Let's talk Becca. Okay, actually, you know what we should do?
Yeah.
To then get into Becca is let's discuss the Aaron, Tammy, Thomas situation.
Perfect. Okay.
Because this shit had me heated.
Okay. All right. I do get, I know that they hadn't, well, number one, and this was, okay, I have a lot of thoughts. Because Aaron didn't mention, and we never saw that Tammy and Aaron had any sort of exclusive conversation.
No.
So, therefore, she can technically do whatever she wants, right?
Correct.
Which again, I was like, why are Demi and all these people saying like Tammy's such a conniving snake, whatever? Like, what the fuck?
I'm like, what?
Is this just because you guys like Aaron, or what the hell? Anyway,
they do, by the way.
Yes, I know.
Demi keeps making side comments about how Aaron's the hottest guy on the beach. She said it like twice or 3 times, where she's like, he is so hot. He's like one of the hottest guys on the beach.
Well, they should be together then.
I could actually see that working.
Yeah, live your lives. Okay, so I will say though, it was a little shitty.
okay. So, yes. When it was happening, I was like, oh no.
Like, well, I mean, why do you got to be straddling the guy right there?
Right there.
I
mean, maybe just do it around the corner. Like, what I have to remember, though, is that last week, in front of Tammy, Serena C and Aaron made out.
Hardly even remember that at this point, but okay,
So
good point.
Tammy and Aaron were vibing. They had made a connection. They had talked, about their connection. And then all of a sudden, right before the rose ceremony, Serena pulls Aaron, is making out with him. They're rolling around. Tammy sees it. It's right in front of her face. Yeah. And what Tammy does, if we recall, is Tammy goes straight over to Aaron and pulls him, was like, oh, I see you out there kissing. Like, what about this? And then starts kissing him. Doesn't give him any shit about his interaction with Serena C.
Okay.
Because
then that puts things in context.
Right? And then also, Tammy did tweet something, and I'm probably going to botch this, but she tweeted something basically saying that, what you didn't see is that Aaron and I had a conversation about how, like, they weren't exclusive. It was something like how we'll talk to other people. Okay. So at the end of the day, yes, is it painful to see someone...
That's my worst enemy.
Well, let's just say it wasn't even the worst enemy. Is it painful for Tammy to see Serena C and Aaron macking in front of each other?
But that's your emotional fucking responsibility.
But that's if there's no boundary that's been verbalized that you guys are together and exclusive, then, that's then on you. Tammy handled it super well. And then now Aaron is not handling it well. And of course, I believe the biggest issue is that it's Thomas.
Yes. And okay.
And he can't fucking put that on Tammy that Thomas is his worst enemy. So how dare you? It's like I was seeing so many people being like, are you kidding me, Tammy? Like Thomas, like Aaron's worst enemy. I'm like, Tammy doesn't know Thomas.
Thomas,
bless you.
Also hasn't done anything to Aaron, for God's sake.
It's like, dude, he doesn't like him. Aaron doesn't like Thomas. Thomas did not do anything to Aaron personally. If Thomas had stolen...
This is virtually all made up in Aaron's mind.
It really is. If Thomas had been siphoning money from Aaron's account this entire time, it'd be like, okay, well then there's something to talk about here.
And then just I have to say, Trey.
I know. I was extremely distraught. I know. You're doing it.
I just had to say, when he said that's like the worst fucking thing she could possibly do to you, whatever. And then Aaron's calling her a dog. I'm like, you guys are disgusting.
So apparently, it was either Aaron. It could have been either Aaron or Mob Boss that said a dog.
I thought it sounded
like Aaron.
I think it was Aaron.
Trey called her a human trash bag. And not only that, Trey said that in his ITMs. So that even wasn't a reaction in the moment, which would still be terrible.
A bro, right, sure, whatever.
That was in personal, then ITMs that he said that about Tammy. And I was like, excuse me, sir.
Stop.
Just
no.
Enough.
So I was like, noted.
Put that in my pocket.
Save that for later. Also, again, because of Trey's vendetta against Thomas. Like, you guys.
I know.
Have some fucking responsibility and manage your goddamn emotions.
Yes. This is your relationship with Thomas. This has nothing to do with Thomas and Tammy.
And then, I've had a lot, and of course, I've had so much fun with Aaron in the past, and even in the second episode this week.
You know that we have celebrated Aaron
and then
before.
Even with Becca and Aaron, I kind of just couldn't help myself grinning and kind of giggling a little bit.
I can't tell you, I will I can't help but like Aaron. Aaron entertains me.
But I have to say, with the Tammy shit, I was like, dude, no. I did not like the way he was talking to her. That was not okay.
That was completely not okay. The way, and also too, when Tammy, again, we go back to Serena C.
Right.
And Aaron.
Okay, yes.
The way that Tammy handled that, managed her own emotions, decided I'm going to keep pursuing Aaron, show Aaron that I like him.
Sure.
Not put it on him.
Yeah. Give him validation.
When Thomas pulled Tammy and was lecturing her about what like basically a bad person she is, Tammy sat there,
I know,
processed what he was saying, and even how disrespectful the things he was saying and just untrue the things he was saying to her and forcing all of his feelings on her. She heard him. She didn't even like, there was zero emotional response on her end of defensiveness at all. And then she walked away. She apologized to him and she walked away and she like grieved and she was like, I feel terrible. And people are giving her shit.
Oh no. If anything, I was like, girl, stand up for your fucking self and go off on him and be like, excuse me.
Like,
how
go
dare
off.
you fucking speak to me like that?
Yes.
Never speak like that to me again.
Yes. And to me, like I was waiting for Tammy to go off and I would have celebrated her going off. But it also really showed to me, I'm like, wow, Tammy really cares about Aaron. She does care about Aaron. And then the fact that then he is dumping his emotions, being like, you like basically saying you care nothing about me and you're selfish because you're talking to Thomas. It's like, dude, see her response to you. She's letting you like go off on her. Like, and she's then apologizing to you. Like she cares about you.
I did not like him seeing his eyes ablaze, just like yelling in her face practically. I was just like, dude, you need to take several seats. And I do.
Several seats.
I did not like that.
And then when Aaron pulled Thomas, I was kind of alive for Thomas. When Thomas was standing there and was just like, first of all, Tammy kissed me.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
Thomas is sitting with Tammy and he legit says to her, and I understand their connection.
Yeah.
Will it last? Who knows? But they have a connection where they're like, we were both painted as the villains of our season.
Yeah.
We've had these moments together. Now, obviously, Thomas was getting harassed on the beach. And Tammy was probably there for him and is like, I see you. Like, I feel it, you know, encouraging him. And then Thomas says to her, hey, I would have kissed you if it wouldn't be like with your connection with Aaron right now. And then she kissed him. Yeah. So when Aaron's coming at Thomas being like, don't disrespect me. You went after my girl. And it was like, hey, she kissed me, first of all.
Yeah.
But then when Aaron continues to go off and Thomas is like, after seeing all this, I'm glad I did what I did. And I was like, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Yes, bitch.
And then he comforted Tammy and then they went off in their corner and they made out for the rest of the night.
I'm Team Thomas for now. I mean, I gotta say.
I mean, you know, it might change, who knows? But like for now, and even throughout the whole Thomas-Aaron relationship, let's be clear. Thomas has handled it better.
Yes.
The whole time.
Yes.
The whole time.
Yes.
Though Aaron entertains us.
Yes.
Thomas has handled it well.
Thomas has still done nothing wrong.
No.
Which I thought immediately Becca and Thomas were going to turn around and have a date after all of this with Aaron. I was like, the minute when Becca arrived and whatever, I was like,
because we've seen the clips of them together, and I was like, oh God. Well, see, we'll see how that transition goes down.
So I thought it was going to be an instant date, but no. So then, still sticking to those characters, basically the next point of interest is Aaron and Becca.
Then Becca comes down. Yes. Then Becca comes down. And we find out, which I truly believe, by the way, by Aaron's reaction, that Becca K is Aaron's bachelorette crush. Like, he loves her. When he was having the conversation with her,
I saw a whole different side of him.
Whole different side of him. And when he was having the conversation with her and he's like, honestly, like, us just talking and me having this moment with like my crush is like enough. It was like, she's like a celebrity to him and he's having his like win a date with Tad Hamilton moment where he's going out with like his like favorite hot celebrity.
But I mean, like at first I was like, oh, this is weird. But then he kind of was kind of fun and kind of like, you know.
He was charming. I mean, he is a charming guy. Like there's a reason why we like him. There's a reason why somehow he hasn't become a villain. Somehow this guy, we all like him. He's charming.
Yeah.
And everyone apparently, Becca was saying, she's like, everybody tells me you're the funniest guy in the house.
I mean, he is funny.
He's so funny. All of his metaphors, when Becca was handing out the roses and he was like, wow, it's so beautiful to watch her. He's like, it's like watching like a dolphin, like breaching in its natural habitat. It was so
A
funny.
bachelorette just doing what she's supposed to do.
It was so funny because the second that Becca K walked up and held the rose, I was like, this girl knows
For
how to
sure.
hold the rose.
For sure.
The way she looked at it and like felt
For
the
sure.
pedal, I was like, wow, this is like where it's like
Arms perfectly placed on her
I
torso.
almost felt a little like starstruck for them. Like it's like, oh, this is. And so when he said that, I was dying. It was like so accurate, so accurate.
And then so I'm like, are they gonna go out on a date?
I don't know. We'll see how quickly this whole Thomas thing transpires with her.
I gotta say, I can't wait for that next week either.
Can you picture Thomas and Becca together?
You would be able to speak to this more after listening to the interview, because I still haven't gotten a full like read on who Thomas really is beyond the perfect guy facade.
I would say after listening to the interview, like I said, he's very passionate about what he believes in, and he's a serious guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might read on the screen like a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's just, he's maybe not super goofy.
So
Like,
do
he's
you
more of a
think that
serious
they would
guy.
work?
I don't know. I don't know Becca K that well because I didn't watch
She's super goofy and fun, but
maybe they balance each other out. That maybe
Right.
they bring out different sides of each other.
maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd like to see them both happy.
I would be interested to see them together. I think that, Thomas also, by the way, brought up something that was powerful on talking it out. He was talking about how he grew up in a community that was like all white.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the only people of color there, and he was saying that because of also his like being a man of color and how tall he is and his stature, he's like,
Sure.
I have literally, for the safety of myself and my family, have had to present in this perfection and giving everyone kind of what they want. And he's like, I did that on Katie's season. And so I think also what we're seeing on screen with Thomas is it's like, this is part of his like real life journey.
Yeah.
And so listening to him on the podcast, it's like he wasn't this like goofy guy. He was serious, but it was a different energy. And
Interesting.
I'd be interested to.
I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. I'm looking
too.
forward to see Thomas fly off the handle again.
You mean
possibly.
Aaron?
I mean Aaron. Is it Thomas? Not Thomas.
It's like, oh God, Aaron is going for Becca, and we're seeing Thomas and Becca in previews. It's like, this is going to be a nightmare. And Aaron's going to say that Thomas is only interested in these people because Aaron likes them.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a whole thing.
Now, let me know. You tell me if you think that this is. I'm not sure if this is stepping out of line in terms of what's appropriate for me to talk about or not. But speaking to this thing about like appearance and as like a person of color, I have to say, like, I was just really like, I guess overall disappointed, and made me see like how fucked up like racism and like colorism is. And I'm not saying that everyone on the beach is any of those things, but like I was just disappointed like seeing how much someone like Demi gets away with these actions and this kind of craziness, and then seeing how like no one was interested in pursuing any kind of a relationship with Tajwan. I was just sort of like, it's a very uncomfortable thing to talk about, but I'm like, dude, she is black and she is dark skinned, and like I am sure that this is something that has come into play in her dating life. And I was just like, this fucking sucks, dude. Like, Tajwan has such a great personality, is so beautiful, is so like all these things, and like it's like no one even sees her there as like someone who is a viable partner.
It like I yes, 1000%. And we saw more of Tajwan this season, where she is also just such a fucking good friend. Like listening to her basically like help counsel all of these people, like when her conversations with Connor, and like she's an incredible person and so fucking funny.
It's just it's just shitty, and you're like, oh, this is like the reality. Like, I don't know. It's just it was just really made me sad, and yeah, I guess that's it. But I'm like, dude, Like, I just obviously can't imagine what that must be like to, like, date as a Black girl and have to, I don't know. It just sucks. It just sucks. And I imagine it's got to suck to see what, like you were saying, white blonde girls
what
get
Demi
away
can
with.
get away with. Yeah, exactly.
And still be, like, desirable and held up on a pedestal, not only by the people on the beach, but by America. And, like...
Yeah, like Demi can get away with screaming, "Fuck you, suck my ass."
Yeah. Can you, and even if no one applauds her for it, everyone just kind of rolls their eyes. Like, you can't imagine how that would be if, like, Tajwan we already saw it with Maurissa versus with her sexuality versus, like you're saying, Hannah Brown or these other girls. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just bullshit. And it made me really sad because I think Tajwan's so beautiful and awesome, and I want to be her friend, and I want to see her find love.
I want to be her best friend, and also too, we can even just talk screen time. Let's talk screen time. Tajwan is the funniest person there.
Yeah,
and
funnier than Aaron.
She's funnier than Aaron. And, like, again, we have Demi getting so much screen time because Demi's quippy. She's got quick lines, but it's like Tajwan, all of a sudden, it was like we didn't even get her story of really what, like, all we see her is that she's, like, yelling out into the ocean, and they're like, oh, Tajwan's having a meltdown tonight.
Right. She becomes this jester.
Right.
Of the season.
And we're not seeing, like, the rest of her story. What the fuck happened between her and Trey, like, that brought it to the point where, like, he was like, there's not the connection anymore. Like, we didn't get any of that story. It was just these random, like, quick shots of Tajwan screaming into the ocean or eating more spaghetti. Yeah. And Tajwan is absolutely fantastic. I was devastated that she was gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, she still has, like, less than 30,000 followers on Instagram and all that kind of thing. And I'm just like, it's just kind of bullshit.
We love you, Tajwan. Please come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast.
Please
also,
come on the podcast.
You were
so much fun.
Instagram storying out about Blake H. And you guys were, like, I don't know, doing something. And I was like, let's get you and Blake together so that you can spill all the tea. Please.
Oh my God.
Please.
A monumental podcast. Please.
Anyway, yeah, that was a bummer. And I was also like, Trey, okay, whatever.
That was
home.
that was just like, it was just like, I don't understand what just happened. It seemed to me like he was just overwhelmed and over it. And it was just like, it's too much now. They probably, they're going straight from filming with Katie straight to this. And he was just seemed like it was like, I'm not actually having that much of a connection and I'm just over it.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that I got from him.
Yeah. Who else do we need to talk about? We need to talk about
where we got to wrap, because this is going to be just the big thing, is the Joe and Serena. We got to talk with Joe and Serena date.
What about Noah and Abigail?
Oh my God. Okay.
Which is almost, I would say, almost arguably bigger than the Serena and Joe date, because they were just being cute. Whatever.
God. Yes. Okay, let's talk Noah and Abigail, and then Serena, P, and Joe.
Because that's how we ended out the episode anyway. Okay, so this is what I'm going to say about the Noah and Abigail thing. Gray and I were going back and forth about it.
Okay.
This was my conclusion.
All right.
Obviously, I like Noah, so I want to give him, I am more inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt. However, objectively speaking, the conclusion that Gray and I did end up agreeing on is we have not seen enough of their relationship to know what the situation is here.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Now,
because here's where our two sides. I was like, okay, but because Gray was like, oh my God, like, is he gaslighting her or whatever? Like, flipping this back on her. And I was like, well, but what if he actually has been trying to have a relationship with her and then she's saying, oh, I want more from you. And he's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Sure. Yes. Okay. We haven't seen it.
Okay.
I was a fan during Tayshia's season, and it was we had the unpopular opinion in that level. I didn't like him when he interacted with. I wasn't vibing with him when he interacted with Abigail at first, because I felt like he wasn't hearing her out and he was just kind of doing his own thing. And since then, at least every time we see Noah, he is lounging everywhere. He's just kind of, dude. I've never seen someone lay so much on this show. I would like someone to put together a compilation clip of how many times you see Noah laying on a couch with his open and his chains and just kind of being like, everyone come to me. He gives me that energy. I could be wrong, but he gives me the energy of like the guy who takes you out on a first date. He kind of wows you on the first date and is like, all right, what now? You're not giving me anything. I'm laying here. You're going to come to me, yes or no? Now, maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's not the case. And maybe he's really been having concentrated efforts of pulling her aside for conversation, trying to get to know her more. And is it feeling like she has her guard up? Because she said on the date that she moves slowly. So maybe that is true. But the energy that this man put out when she came up to him and was laying on him and trying to have this conversation with him, even though what she was saying was potentially like, hey, are we good? Or should we... The fact that he literally didn't even ever once look her in the eyes and just reclined the entire time and was like, I don't know, what do you think? I mean, maybe this is just where we're at. I was just like, again, we talk about emotional immaturity. Cut to Bennett being like, I told you all. I told you he was emotionally immature. I knew it the whole time. Also, where the hell is Bennett? Where's Bennett? Bennett was supposed to be the king of paradise.
I know.
I am devastated that Bennett is not on this beach. Where is Bennett?
I'm confused.
I'm so confused. No Kelly. No Bennett. I was really hoping to see what the fuck was going on with the Kelly-Bennett relationship. No McKenna. But we saw a clip of her, so she's showing up.
How many more weeks do we have? 3?
No, I think we have a couple more than that.
Oh shit, am I gonna be gone for the finale? I got broads. Now I might have my Mexico moment because I'm gonna be in Mexico the week of I'm leaving the 17th and we'll be gone till the 23rd.
Wait, the 17th of
September.
17th of No, you know what I think's happening?
What?
So from what I saw is that next week, 2 episodes.
Yes.
Monday, Tuesday. After that, only 1 episode a week on Tuesdays because Dancing with the Stars starts and then there's like a game.
Are they taking it literally all the way up till Michelle's season, which debuts on the 12th?
They may be taking it at least to the 5th. Or excuse me, maybe at least to the 28th.
Oh.
I think that's what I
think they might be taking it all the way up to the week before to October 5th.
They might.
Probably.
But it looks like we're going to get 2 episodes next week and then for the remainder of the season only on Tuesdays.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well anyway. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. It was like the lounging and the kind of like looking away. Then I was also like, okay, I can imagine that this conversation could also feel very off guard. Her being like, so are we anything? And then it's like, what?
1000%. See, when I was watching it with Evan, and Evan right away goes, Evan was screaming at the television. He was like, if someone comes to me and I like them, and I'm laying there and they say, are we good? Are we like, what's the vibe going on? Are we just friends? He goes, I sit up and go, okay, well, like, even if I don't have a great response of like, even if I sit up and I go, what are you talking about? Or like, maybe I don't feel that way. Do you feel that way? Like there's more of an engagement of like, I'm sitting up and I'm engaging with you. Whatever that might look like. The fact that he kind of just laid there and was like, I give up was a little bit like.
It's probably telling about the amount of effort that's been put in.
Yeah. Or even if he has put in effort, then it's like, I get that he's hurt.
Right.
But it's still like, hey, the fact that you just laid there and like didn't engage, I don't see this going well.
No.
That's all that I can tell.
And I also got the vibe from her too that one, she's looking at the other couples, and I think like, and when I saw her crying after, it was sort of like she's not that into him, and she knows it's not going to work, and like she's just not. I can totally feel for her in that moment where you're like, maybe we just like do need to try harder. It's like that, you see that in people's relationships where you're like,
yep.
I think of Katie and Chris again, where it's just like, no, you guys are not. That was much more extreme, but
I feel like with her, it's like there's definitely like she said, it's never been this easy. It's so comfortable. And maybe that is something. Maybe there is something to that like maybe she's been through relationships and they're been more challenging. And so it's like, is there something wrong? And maybe there's not. But I definitely get more of like a friend connection. Like you guys can talk, but like maybe there's not passion there.
Yeah. Clearly not on his end.
He was laying there like a pile of clothes.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I'm looking at like Noah's luggage or Noah. Like I don't know what. And then he like walked off. And of course he's hurt. Obviously he walks away and he's in the crashing sea, fully dressed, letting the waves smack up on him, mourning.
Having a Joe moment.
Having a full Joe moment. So he cares, obviously.
Right.
But it's just the way he was handling it obviously wasn't. We'll see next week.
Top
but it
tier.
didn't look like it was going well next week either. It looked like he's shut down.
Yeah. Which, and then that was Gray and I's debate where I was sort of like, okay, but like, did he do anything wrong in that conversation? And Gray was kind of like, I think he's gaslighting her, manipulating her. And I was like, I don't know though.
I'd have to rewatch it because Evan was talking furiously over it where I'm just like, can you stop so that I can hear what's happening? I'm supposed to be taking notes.
Yeah, and that's where we sort of got to like, oh, well, if we could say for sure that he's just kind of been sitting there like aloof while she's been trying to talk to him this whole time, then I would be like, not cool, but we can't say for sure whether or not he's been putting in.
This is the moment I didn't like.
Oh, tell me.
There was a moment I didn't like.
Tell me.
Just because it kind of gave me the
Yuck.
I didn't like it. Is he goes, when she said like, are we good? Like, is everything like going okay? The connection, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, I feel like we're the strongest couple on the beach. Like everyone's obsessed with our relationship.
That was weird.
And I was like, that's really weird. That's a really fucking weird thing to say to someone who's coming to you and being like, are we okay?
That's super weird.
And I'm like, are you doing this for TV, my guy? Is that why you care?
Everyone's obsessed with us.
Are you trying to, because you kind of had a little bit of a villain edit last season. Are you trying to be the nice guy who like hops in the relationship right away and everyone's obsessed with your relationship? Like that weirded me out big time.
Yeah, and the verbiage of it too. Like everyone's obsessed with us. I'm like, wait, that has nothing to do with your guys' relationship.
That's not what she just said, dude. It doesn't matter if everyone's obsessed with you or not.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what's going on personally. That weirded me out big time. Not a fan.
Definitely.
Sorry, Noah. I'm trying. You know, I liked it last season. I'm trying.
No, I don't think he's done anything deserving of our particular attention this season. That's for sure.
Woo me.
I'm ready to be impressed.
Impress me.
All I'll say is that I was like, okay, I was telling Gray, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I would say that it wasn't a great conversation, but also like to me, what was much more toxic was like Aaron's conversation with Tammy.
Oh, sure.
Two very different things, but still, I was like, I don't know if we can definitively say there was anything like wrong. But yeah, bad vibes.
Yeah, not good vibes.
And I hope it's just kind of over clean, a little more cleanly, but I think it'll be a little drawn out.
Yeah, I think it'll be, I could see them leaving.
Yeah.
I can see them pulling a Trey and Tajwan and both just leaving.
I hope she stays.
I know.
But yeah, it's like how many more people are going to... I mean, there's a lot more people that could come.
I think we predicted in the first episode that either Noah or Abigail was going to leave.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not that it's happened
We're amazing.
yet.
It will. It definitely will.
But it probably will.
The men have the rose, though?
Yeah.
So then is like maybe he's going to dip.
I could just see him being like, oh, it's not worth my time.
Yeah, I'm going to leave.
Throw the rose into the sea. Yeah.
Okay, Joe and Serena.
Joe and Serena. So Joe and Serena have their first one-on-one date. You know, first of all,
Wasn't that their second?
No, that was their first one-on-one. Actually, like having time alone.
They went out to dinner weeks ago.
No.
Am I imagining
I
that?
think so, unless I'm losing it. I
Okay. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure.
But regardless,
because they wouldn't give them two. It's only been a couple episodes.
True. I think I completely fabricated another one.
Well, they've had a lot of... No, Serena was with Thomas one-on-one.
Oh,
now Serena's
that's
with
right.
Joe.
That's why I'm like seeing
You're
her
like,
at
I
dinner
see her,
in a chair.
I picture her
yes,
one-on-one.
Yes. Okay.
So first one-on-one, you know, put them in a wrestling ring. That was funny to me. I'm like, can we have the table elsewhere and then go to the wrestling ring after? Not having these like strange colors surrounding me. But I mean,
they're cute.
They're very cute.
What else are you gonna say?
They're very cute. And they did have the conversation where she asked about oh my God, that moment. Oh, my stomach. When she's so like, your ex, when you and your ex broke up, and then she stopped herself and she goes, it's Kendall. I know her name's Kendall.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it just was like this moment where you're like, she knows. I appreciated that she called her by name.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a moment of like big respect. Like, we're sitting here, we're talking about the ex that everyone knows about. Like, I'm going to call her by her name. It's Kendall. Like, why did you guys break up? And then he talked about them, you know, her not wanting to leave her family in California.
What's interesting though is that we did not see a conversation about where she would want to live or where he would want to live if they are together. Yeah, because
she's from Canada, so
that is kind of the pertinent info here.
It's big.
Otherwise, we're gonna have another
situation. Other situation is gonna be the exact same shit. I know. I'm like, well, I think she's farther. Maybe not. But then Canada.
I mean, it really comes down to like, okay, so do you want to leave your family and friends to go live with him in Chicago? That's kind of what it comes down to.
Are you okay with that? All right. Definitely. Because he obviously doesn't want to leave his family. He's not leaving. He's not leaving his city. And because... But what that showed us, which then we were reminded when Kate walked down, and that's when I was just like, I am literally ill, is when she was like, we loved each other when we broke up. Like, we didn't break up because we didn't love each other anymore. And when she was like, I miss him. I'm excited to see him. I hope he's excited to see me. I was just like, I am ill. It's going to be like nearly impossible to watch.
No, I saw someone online saying like, "Oh, yeah, of course, like Joe knew she was coming." I don't think he did.
No, I'm sure that
he was told.
I'm sure it's in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know how these fucking producers work, and that she might show up. And same, you know, I would imagine when Kendall signed up to go on Bachelor in Paradise that she probably didn't know for sure until she was about to walk down on the beach, and then they told her, by the way, Joe's there.
Well, see, and I'm confused about this, like, because, yeah, like yes, but then also it almost seems like she's going in the intention of like, I'm coming to Bachelor in Paradise to like rekindle things with him.
Yeah, she didn't even like say hi to anybody when she was passing by. The guys were like, oh, hey, you're beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And she just went straight for Joe. So yeah, maybe. I would imagine it's either one of two ways, right? Either one, she's like, sure, I'll go on Bachelor in Paradise again. And then the producers edited her ITMs to make it sound like... Yeah,
that's what I was wondering about too.
She's just there for Joe, and then
she's wanting to clear the air.
Right, and then they're like, why don't you go talk to Joe first to make sure everything's like, you know, good to go before you start meeting everybody else on the beach. Or
I don't know, like you said, the way that she blew past the guys, it seems like if you did go and then you wanted to clear the air, you'd be like, hi, nice to meet you guys. You know, I do have an important conversation that I have to have like first. Instead, it was literally like, step aside, bitches, where's Joe? Dude, I want a producer been telling her like, Joe's been talking about you, like,
probably.
Oh my God.
You know, they probably told her the exact things he said night one when he was crying in the camera and was like, this makes me think about Kendall. Like, you know that they were like, oh, he's... I feel like my heart ache. That's the thing. Again, my heart hurts for all three of them right now. I hurt for Kendall. I hurt for Joe. I hurt for Serena.
Oh, yeah.
This whole thing sucks.
I think when Kendall talks to him, I think Joe is gonna remember that he has a little more feeling still there than he thinks.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna like end his relationship with Serena, but I think Joe is going to be, you know, it's like we were talking about last week. It's like the hypothetical situations versus when you're really in front of someone and they're there and you're like, fuck.
What I could see going really awry between Joe and Serena's relationship, aside from the fact that his like serious ex just came down, I would imagine when he's sitting across from Kendall, who he cares about and probably still loves to a certain degree, like, right? That he's going to downplay his relationship with Serena to not hurt Kendall.
Yeah.
And then it will get back to Serena that Joe was downplaying their relationship drama.
Yeah, definitely possible. And I mean, like, I feel like there obviously is still feelings there because he was crying about her like a week ago.
Of course.
So I feel like when she's actually there in front of him, it's going to be like
we've said before, all that I truly hope and pray in this situation is that the producers don't give Kendall this edit that makes her look like this like angry ex.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen too. And I also hope that the same situation doesn't happen as it did last time where like Serena and Joe like leave and then end up like reconnecting off screen.
Right.
Kind of.
What if he has the exact same thing happen?
Exact same story arc.
He's like, oh. Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I feel like if Serena seems, from everything that we know of Serena, I feel like Serena will handle this with like the utmost grace and maturity.
But she's gonna be tripping.
But of course, oh no, she's gonna be tripping.
Which I would too.
She'd be tripping out, as anyone would. But if anyone on that beach, I believe, could handle this very uncomfortable situation and still be kind of like, no, I still care about you. Like, let's move forward in our relationship. I feel like it could be Serena.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wild. I am on pins and needles about next week, and I'm also very nervous.
There's a lot going down next week. I'm psyched.
It's gonna be wild.
Well, we handled that shit. We got through those.
We did it. Yes.
2 episodes.
Succeeding. Broads, make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Bros recap of 1,000,000 episodes. So we'll see how they do that, which probably will just lead to them talking
They're
about...
probably just going to talk about Noah and Abigail, and they're going to talk
And
about
Eric.
Joe and... And who?
Eric.
Oh, and Eric, yeah. I was like, who? And yeah, they're probably I bet that they're gonna talk about Noah and Abigail and Joe and Kendall and Serena, and that's probably gonna be the majority of what they talk about because they're gonna Grayson's gonna at least forget about everything else.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be some of their...
And probably Demi.
Yes. Evan will talk about Tia.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Gray will chime in too.
Evan definitely had thoughts about Tia.
What do you think about their date? I mean, I guess we'll have to tune in to find out, but
He was not vibing the situation.
yeah, Gray was
general.
Gray was feeling like really bad for her.
I don't know how Evan, his feelings, you know what I think it is? I think she reminded Evan of certain people, and it was, a little bit of a trigger for him.
A little triggered. Got it.
I'll let him talk about it. But
Tune in for that.
Tune in for that. And Broads, next week, tune in on Tuesday because we have a very special guest. Should we tell the Broads who it is, or should we leave it as a surprise?
Leave it as a surprise.
All right, we'll leave it as a surprise.
It's Chris Harrison.
And I die.
All right, Rods.
All
Chat
right,
soon.
Broads. Chat soon.